Greetings, students. Beta, class 7. We have started chapter 3 of geography and we have discussed two parts of the chapter. Now, let us start the third chapter. And in the previous class, we were discussing about the major landforms and we have discussed the work of a river. If you remember about Minder, about Oxbow Lake, and about the floodplains, we have discussed in the previous class. Now let's move further. Okay, so let's start from here. See the last one. As last three lines, I'm going to start from here. The river approaches the sea. Okay, the speed of the flowing river water decreases and the river begins to break up into a number of streams called distributaries. Okay, as you see, if it is shown now, see this one. As the river it approaches the sea mouth, it split into different water bodies. These are called as distributaries. Then the river becomes so slow that it begins to deposit its load. So whatever the material it carries, it starts depositing the material here. So each distributary forms its own mouth. The collection of sediments from all mouths forms a delta. Now see, it makes triangular shape. If you see carefully here, now see these are the different streams. The main river, it split into different parts, and each part it makes its own mouth. And see this triangular shape, this is called delta. Now see work of sea waves. Now this is the second part. The erosion and deposition of the sea waves give rise to coastal landforms. Sea waves continuously strike at the rocks. Cracks develop. Over time, they become larger and wider. Thus, hollow-like caves are formed on the rocks. They are called sea caves. Now see, this is here it is shown. When the water it continuously strike against the rocks, it starts cutting the rock, and there it becomes hollow, or it makes a hollow shape in the rocks. So we call it sea cave. Now, and with the time it starts becoming wider and larger. They are called sea caves. As these cavities become bigger and bigger, only the roof of the cave remain, thus forming sea arch. Now see, when continuously the water it continuously strike against a rock, then it passes through the rock. Now see, there is a structure like it passes through the rock. It cuts the rock. Now see, this is only the roof is there, and from downside the water is coming from one side to another. We call it, or it is called, sea arch. Next is further erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left. These wall-like features are called stacks. Now this is stack. This movement is so hard, or it happens continuously, and after many years, now see, the roof it also break down, and there is only one, this pillar like structure, and this is called stack. Now the steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above seawater is called sea cliff. It is not shown in the picture. Okay, then I'll show you. This is a glacier. it's not shown here, so I'll show you later on. This also the cliff, it means when the sediments starts piling up one over the other, then it starts rising vertically, and when it's a huge structure, this is called a sea cliff. The sea waves deposit sediments along the shores, forming beaches. So about beaches also, you people know that in Mumbai, in Goa, we hear about different beaches. So these are formed by the movement of the sea water. Now work of ice. So the work of the ice is glaciers. Glaciers, you know, these are the moving blocks of ice or floating. Now see, glaciers are rivers of ice which to erode the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones to expose the solid rock below. Glaciers, like glaciers, these are rivers of ice, and when these rivers or these blocks of ice move from one place to another, these erode all the rocks on the way and break them down. Glaciers carve out deep hollows there. As the ice melts, they get filled up with water and become beautiful lakes in the mountains. Now see, these are the glaciers. Then after, when these rivers or these ice blocks strike against the ground, these break down the hard material, means the rocks on the way, and dig the areas around. And when the water this ice melts, these hollow places fill up with water and become lakes. The material carried by the glaciers, such as rocks, big and small, sand and silt, gets deposited. These deposits form glacier moraines. Now see one more. So work of wind, we are discussing these in short. Now see, now work of wind. Have you ever visited a desert? Try to collect some pictures of sand dunes. An active agent of erosion and deposition in the deserts is wind. So this is important. This is erosional agent or the agent of erosion. In desert, you can see rocks in the shape of a mushroom, commonly called mushroom rocks. Winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper part. Therefore, such rocks have narrower base and wider top. Oh, so no picture is given here, but it is mushroom like structure. When wind erode the upper part of the rock, the lower part of the rock more than the upper part, and then the lower part, it becomes narrow in comparison to the upper part, and it looks like a mushroom, and such rocks are called mushroom rocks. Next is, now see, when the wind blows, it lifts and transport the fourth line of the para. Winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper part. Therefore, such rocks have narrower base and wider top. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another. When it stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited in low hills like structures. These are called sand dunes. So in simple words, you can say these are hill like structures of sand. What are sand dunes? Hill like structures of sand. And when the wind blows, it carry the sand with it, and when the speed of the wind slows down, then it deposit the sand at one place. So there is a hill-like structure that is called sand dune. So the sand dunes, these keep on moving from one place to another with the force of wind. When the grains of sand are very fine and light, the wind can carry it over very long distances. When such sand is deposited in any large area, it is called loess. Large deposits of loess is found in China. So see, this is all about this chapter, and we have discussed today about the movement or the work of waves, sea waves, and work of ice, and then the work of wind. The three parts we have discussed today. And if you have any query, any question, you can discuss with me in the class. Have a great day.